Welcome to Unwinding with Support Group, a mental health podcast by licensed professionals where we discuss mental health topics from a real-world perspective, all while having a drink. So hang out, have some laughs, enjoy the ride, and maybe learn a bit. Welcome to episode 14 of Unwinding with the Support Group. I'm Arlene. I'm an OPC. Tonight I have Kelly with me. She is also an OPC. Kelly, what's on your agenda for today of drinks? I said agenda of drinks, like you have a list. I'm sorry. How many beverages do you have?
Flight. Actually, I have eggnog that I made. It's pumpkin. I didn't make the eggnog. That's a lie. But I put some gin and tequila in it for, flavor.
All right, so you added things to the eggnog.
Yes, yes. I did not make the eggnog by hand, although I have done that before.
All right, cool. I am drinking wine, and I have the Moscato Rubino, the Sweet California Red Moscato from the Salt of the Earth, just like last week, which I do enjoy, a good Moscato, and I do like this red. Also, I just love this type of wine from
Nice.
the Salt of the Earth. They're pretty quite yummy, actually.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah, I like it. All right, before we get into today's topic, though, I will say the topic of the day might be difficult for some of our viewers. And I'm going to let you know that now. So that is your trigger warning, because today we're going to talk about intimate partner violence, otherwise known as domestic violence. So please know that if this is a difficult conversation or topic for you, I understand it. I get it. This might not be the episode for you. Please don't feel like, oh, you need to power through it. Like that's some sort of forced healing, because it fucking ain't.
Yep.
If you aren't ready for that, you're not ready for that. And that's okay. It's not like the episode runs away from the internet, I promise. It could be a later point where you can come back and listen. Also, if you get to a certain points and then it gets too hard, turn the fucking shit off. You don't gotta listen to all of it. Promised.
That's very true.
So do what's best for you. Take care of you. That's really what all of that is about. So on that happy note, and I do mean it, guys, take care of you. This is not the episode for you. Please don't listen. All right, Kelly, where do we want to start? Do we want to talk about the different kinds?
That's a good, I think that's a good place to start. Because I have a very strong opinion about the different kinds. And one thing that I have always said and always will say, uh, as a therapist and as a survivor, is that there are many different kinds. But the one thing that I have noticed is that despite all the kinds, one thing that is always present is the psychological component.
Always.
Yes, it is always present.
100%. That is there's a lot of commonalities in all types and kinds. The psychological piece is the one through piece, because that's how they bring you in. That's how they get you. It's the mind games, it's the manipulation, it's the gaslighting, the love bombing, it's those things. That's all psychological.
Yep.
And so really being able to recognize those pieces, that's where it is. It's the putting on a show in the beginning of I'm Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. I'm the perfect partner. That's the psychological part.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to overgeneralize, and times are a lot different than they were years ago. And, even still today, it's hard to say what happens, but it's a lot harder, I would argue, to control someone if you sucker punch them immediately in the face on the first, initial like getting to know you phase than it is if you pull them in and very slowly start to interweave that intermittent reinforcement schedule of the psychological abuse, and then amping things up. So while some people may be in abusive relationships that don't involve physical abuse, and I do have some interesting things to share about the difference some things that people might know about physical abuse that constitutes physical abuse that most like doesn't involve bodily harm, but they may not be, in a relationship that constitutes as abusive per se, physically, that it's still there, it's still present with the emotional and the other types that we're going to talk about as well.
Yeah. Um, I want to piggyback the part of most of us are probably going to walk away from someone who abuses us in any form the first time, right? On a first date, in a first encounter, they hit
Mhm.
us, they insult us, they make us feel like shit,
Sure.
they sexually abuse us, any of those things. And right off the bat, we're like, yeah, okay, I'm kind of done. And that is something people who perpetrate intimate partner violence know.
Absolutely.
And that's why I said at the beginning, it's that front of like their perfect partner. That's the psychological part of like, I will put on a show because I need to reel you in.
Mhm.
Because to show you who I really am, I have to secure you to me.
Yep. It's it's a very interesting thing, and I like to think about it from the perspective of like sometimes a behaviorist perspective, and I think it's Skinner. And I go back to the intermittent reinforcement schedule, where it's like at the beginning, it's like that, like you were saying, that love bombing, that, like I'm the perfect partner, and then something happens that's bad. But they've already put that image and built that kind of foundational belief that, okay, no, this is a one-off. And so we're, you hold out, I held out for the next happy phase. Didn't know when it was coming, but it came. And so that's why it's intermittent. It's like you just keep holding on, thinking that it's going to get better because eventually it does. And that's how it works. It's that back and forth and back and forth. They call it the honeymoon phase. Um, and that's how they, like Arlene was saying, that the tendrils kind of get in, they kind of sink their way into the relationship. And I've met so many survivors who and ongoing people who are actually still in situations like that, who continuously blame themselves, saying, I should have noticed, I should have noticed. But the truth of the matter is, we see only what we are presented with the time, at the time.
Yeah.
And we are being presented truly with what they are showing us.
Mhm. You bring up good points about like waiting for the next good phase. And the first time something bad happens, quick to apologize,
Mhm.
quick to be like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. It won't happen again. And the love bombing occurs
Mhm.
almost immediately after the first time.
Yep.
Right. So you really do think it's a fucking one off. You're just like, oh, okay. Like this is a real slip out of character. You start making excuses like, oh, they were stressed for work. Oh, this happened. Because all of those things were probably real.
Yes.
Right. They were stressed at work. Oh, they might have got fired. Oh, their dog died. Oh, they're whatever. All of these things, sure. But because they apologized so quickly and fell back into that initial presentation,
Mhm.
you're like, okay, cool. It is a one off. You know what? I didn't like it. Let's not do that again, but I can move past it.
Mhm.
And that for them, they know.
Yeah.
Once you make it past the first one and you stay, it's game over.
Yep. That's that reinforcement. It's like,
Yep.
I gotcha. And, you know, I've gone over this numerous times in my head for many different reasons, but it really does, on some level, feel like, a game to them. I remember speaking with a prosecutor who looked me dead in the face and said, "This is a game to my ex-husband. It's not, it's about win or lose. He doesn't care about prison. He cares about winning or losing." because all of it was a game. And it's like, how do I get control? How do I gain control over this person? And how do I then maintain that control?
Yeah. So control is the name of the game.
Hmm.
Which then brings us back to the original. Let's talk about the different types of intimate partner violence. I think there's the most common that everybody talks about or everybody knows when they think of that is which is physical violence.
Hmm.
Okay. That is the most TV version. I know we use that a lot on this podcast, but it's like what everybody thinks about when they generally think about it. Battered wife, like it's what everybody thinks of. It's
Hmm.
not the only type of intimate partner violence. It is a type. It is a kind. There is also sexual violence. You can, and this is hard for some people, but you can be raped in a committed relationship. You can be raped in a marriage.
Yes.
You don't owe consent all the time, regardless.
And
And
consent
so,
can be revoked.
yeah, at any point.
Yeah.
And these are pieces. So that also falls. And that is one type. And we will come back to, as Kelly started with, the psychological and the emotional abuse as well. So these are your big three main types of abuse and the intimate partner violence kind. Because the psychological also messes with your emotional. They play together. They're like, two peas of the same pod. And so recognizing that it's just not one. It comes in all flavors and all types, and you don't have to have all of those three. You can have one and not any of the others.
Mhm.
Though sometimes you have all three. And so really recognizing those pieces of what that's a bigger picture. It's just a broader scope than one aspect of the story.
And one thing that I learned across time about physical abuse is that it does not always pertain to your person. It pertains to inanimate objects that belong to you. It pertains to doors, windows, phones, anything that is used and then that you own, that you can use, anything that belongs to you or both of you that is being destroyed in a physical manner is considered to be physical abuse in the eyes of the law.
Which is also important because doesn't always start with hitting you.
Exactly.
They can start with punching the wall,
Mhm.
breaking dishes, breaking something that you value so much, like the trinket from your great great grandmother.
Yeah.
It can start in any way because it's about that power and control. And so they don't have to necessarily hit you
Mhm.
to make you afraid.
Exactly. And I think that that's a really good point that you're making here. And to draw a distinction, there is a huge difference between getting into a heated fight between your partner, where maybe one of you gets overwhelmed and breaks a dish. This is something that involves like purposefully trying to invoke fear in an effort to control.
Yeah. Right. I mean, look, it's not great if you're in an argument and you break stuff. Like, that's it's not a good look. And maybe we should talk about de-escalation and
Yes.
managing your anger. But different issue. Um, this is intentionally about fear. This is on purpose creating fear so that you gain power and control over the other person. You want them afraid of you.
Mhm.
You want them to cower when you raise your voice. You want them to hear your footsteps and make themselves small.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. That kind of thing. Um, which is different than things getting out of hand in an argument.
Very much so. And they're very good at it. We talked a little bit ago about the strategic nature of it. And again, I mean, it we have so many resources for victims of intimate partner violence and or domestic violence because of the patterns. There because it is strategic. Um, It's not like they all got together and wrote a playbook, but I kind of wonder sometimes.
I mean, but kind of.
I know, I'm like, did you all go bowling together? Like, sit down, like, I don't know, because y'all are doing some similar things here, and it's a little bit disconcerting because this is way too much of a pattern, and so much of a pattern that statistically speaking, we have an epidemic on our hands. And I don't know the numbers right offhand. I used to, but I haven't upped myself in the past couple of years. But where I was living before I moved to where I am now, um, there was such a problem in that tiny town in Tennessee, and I'm gonna put them on blast, Kingsport, with women specifically dying from intimate partner violence, that the newspaper stepped in and wrote an article about it and started listing all of their names. And it was, I think, around 2019. And so this is a very common issue that we are all, I say we all, but I really mean it. Like all of us as a global community are facing because, we're humans and we see the people, around us, and so many times you don't even know that the person next to you could be suffering from this because we
Yeah.
we get really good at putting on a face.
155 billion%. While we're talking about resources real quick, people often don't leave DV or intimate partner violence situations due to pets.
Hmm.
Okay. And as a result, if for some reason this is you or you know someone it is, Purina runs what they call the Purple Leash Project, which helps to keep pet and their owners together in shelters and helps them find safe shelters that accept animals. So if you know anybody in this circumstance or situation, or you yourself happen to be in one of these circumstances, and this is the reason you're not leaving, contact Purina. Uh, it's at
That's
the
really,
hotline.org, is their website, or any domestic violence number. And they can get you in contact with Purina to help, which I think is important information to have,
yeah, I do too.
um, because animals are part of the family, and especially if you have kids, it's also part of that too. It's another layer. And so I want to make sure everybody has that information too.
I didn't know about that. That is good to know.
Yes. Um, um, just, it was a good moment because we were talking about resources.
Hmm.
So,
No, that is because honestly, pets are a very underrated population when it comes to these situations. And you're right, a lot of people don't leave them because they don't want to leave their pets behind or give them up.
I saw a Purina's commercial for this a couple days ago.
Mhm.
Um, and the commercial was fucking heart. It was not a great commercial because it
There's
was emotionally fucking just horrid.
still
Um, it
harm.
showed how like the violence impacts both the person and the animal. And I was like, bro, I cannot watch this commercial anymore. Because like one is bad enough, but you
Yeah,
combine them both and I'm fucked.
same. I can't. No.
I was like, thanks, Purina.
We appreciate what you're doing, but also thank you for taking my heart out of my chest.
Right. Thanks, guys. Like one of them by themselves, like animal abuse is hard for me. People abuse is hard for me. You put them together?
Mm.
Why would you do such a thing?
Because Sarah McLaughlin. Love you, mean
You
it,
know
Sarah.
what?
If you listen to this.
Listen, I can't, don't even. Don't even start there. But no, I just also feel like that's a really good resource for everybody to have. Yeah, there's a million barriers to why people don't leave. And the more we can reduce those, the better it is.
Absolutely. You know, speaking of barriers, I think this would be a really good pivot into another one of the themes, which is economic.
All right, let's talk about our good friend economic views. Um, Now in front of me, I have our good power and control wheel, which is divided into 2, 4, 6, 8 wonderful little pie pieces. And for those of you who don't know what the power and control wheel is, you can Google it. But what it is it breaks it down into all of the pieces of what really, like, it's like the domestic violence playbook that Kelly said we're not sure that they wrote, but they did somehow. And it breaks it down into like different pieces. And so that's where we're going to go through in some ways, shape, and form here. And so economic abuse is on here. And economic abuse is controlling money as rent, stopping you from getting a job. Yeah, you should stay home and take care of the kids. It's okay. I make enough.
Mhm.
You've always wanted to just stay at home and take care of your hobbies and just do that. You really should do that. I'll just give you an allowance.
Yep.
You know what? We'll have a joint account, and that's where the money will go for you to pay the bills, because then I can see how you're spending the money.
Mhm.
You don't need your own bank account. You're not working. Why would you need that?
Mhm. I'm going to give you the login to my bank account that I'm not going to give up, and you can pay the bills out of it so that if you leave, I will then tell the bank and my attorney will draft up a letter saying that you stole from me.
Um, my good favorite one is not doing any of that, making you not work in just the ways I just said that, and then not giving any allowance though
Mhm.
to make you ask for money.
Yes. Oh, that's a bitter one because humility and just degradation, absolute, not humility, humiliation rather. I mean, in degradation and just another way to really exert that control over a person.
On the rare instances employment is allowed,
Mhm.
you must give over your income. You must turn in your income, and they control how money is spent. They pay the bills. You are left in the dark.
Mhm.
Before we got on, Kelly brought up another form of economic abuse, which I think is rather timely, when we're talking about health insurance.
Mhm.
Um, if you're not working, but they are,
Yep.
they probably have the health insurance and the dental insurance and the vision insurance. And if you have kids, guess who that has on their policy? So that's another thing.
I am currently working with a woman who is going through that right now. And the way that it's working out is that she is being cut off soon from access to therapy.
Mm, yeah. And what will make that shittier is due to the current economic issues in our government here in the good old United States of America. Lots of funding for community programs are being cut, which means lots of community-based programs that some people could access when they are losing their commercial insurance are also at risk.
Yep. And these are programs that are absolutely life-saving and life-changing for a lot of individuals coming out of these situations. Um, I cannot speak enough about these resources, you know, shelters and, family justice centers. Like my experiences, both as a therapist and as a survivor, in getting and sending individuals to these resources has been just life-changing. This is the only way I know how to describe it. And so to know and to be afeared that they are going to lose their funding means that, to me, so many people are going to be stuck in the same situation that they're in, that they don't know how to get out of because they don't know who to reach out to. They don't know if it's safe to reach out. There's no one there to be there with them to, kind of help facilitate the process. And then oftentimes it's not a safe process to get out. Most of the time when you leave is when the danger actually increases. And so these places, these resources are, absolutely crucial to helping people remove themselves from, their abuser.
So I want to reiterate that the danger increases significantly when people leave. Most of the death that women incur in domestic violence, intimate partner violence, happens when they go to leave.
Mhm.
So, anyone who's listening and knows someone in this, and your advice has been to tell them to just get out, you're actually not helping.
Yes.
I
Unless,
know you think you are, but unless you have a safe place for them,
yeah,
and unless you are willing to show up and physically help them remove themselves with all of their legal documentation,
yes.
that's the only way you will help them.
No, that's a really good point. Um, the legal documentation specifically, because a lot of people flee on a whim as soon as they can, when they can, and they may do so without being able to grab their birth certificate, their social security card, any kind of documentation that they might need to be able to get housing. They may have to go through, jump through
Yeah.
so many hoops to get replacements. There's so much. I mean, it's possible that they may have to flee without even having their, driver's license or some sort
Yeah.
of ID, because when you are fleeing, it the timing presents itself when it presents itself, essentially. And if you have someone that can help you plan it, it's infinitely, easier at times, smoother, I would say. There's always, things that can happen, but I agree with Arlene 100%. It's like saying just leave is like saying don't be sad to a depressed person. This
Just stop worrying.
exactly. Don't be afraid. You'll be fine. Just walk out the door. It's totally cool. They'll let you go. They have spent so much time like not like dismantling you as a human being. They have spent so much effort and so much of their power and their energy into dismantling you as a human being that they are not going to just allow you to walk out the door without some kind of fight of some sort, whether it's legal, whether it's stalking, whether it's a physical fight, whether they come and they find you at your job or your new home and they unalive you, which happens so often, so often, that when we perpetuate the idea that you can just leave, what we are actually doing is victim blaming.
Yes. Yes. Um, if again, if you are in if this is your situation, or you know someone in a situation, if you have a safe person or a safe place, or you are the safe person, copies, birth certificates, social security cards, driver's license. If you can get these things and hold on to them, or you can have a safe person do that for you, this is some of the most critical things you can do for yourself in how you get out.
Opening a bank account in your name for them
Yes.
would
Yep.
be a great.
Yes. These are small steps
Mhm.
you can do to help them that are actually helpful.
Yep.
Um, because they need to have access to money
Mhm.
that isn't traceable.
Yes.
Okay, not to them. They need to be able to get to they you can't live without your birth certificate and your social security card. And you're only allowed so many replacement social security cards. And you ever had to get a new one? It's a pain in the fucking ass.
Oh, it's horrible.
So, like, if you can take your originals and put them somewhere and leave copies in your residence, you're doing like you're setting yourself up to get out. No.
Mhm.
Does this process mean you're getting out tomorrow? Probably not, but you are starting somewhere.
And that right there is probably one of the biggest messages is just by doing those things, not just as a safe person, but as someone who might be in a situation like this, it is those tiny things that start building up that empowerment inside of you. Those small things that start kind of rebuilding the sense of self that has been broken down by however many years, months, however long. It doesn't really matter how long it is because it's so insidious that it happens pretty quickly at times. And it starts bringing you back into a state of your own control, your own autonomy and agency. And that's what's really missing because that's what's being stripped doing
Mhm.
all of this is agency and autonomy.
Yeah, I agree. Which actually brings us to another part of this whole puzzle. And actually two pieces, because we've kind of talked about one already, which is using coercion and threats,
Mhm.
and then using intimidation. We've talked about intimidation a lot already, and so knowing that that's part of it. But using coercion and threats. So that is exactly what it's talking about. Making threats and or carrying them out to hurt them, threatening to leave them if they're all like, if that is all of your financial security and you don't know what to do, and they threaten to leave you and take your children and take your dog, your cat, leave you with nothing, um, to commit suicide,
That one's a big one.
um, to have them committed,
Yep.
coercing, like if you press charges because the police are called and like the neighbors call the police, and then in most places the state will just pick up charges,
Mhm.
and then pressuring and coercing you to drop charges, right? Or making you do a legal thing so they
Having
have something over you.
Oh, that one, having their friends contact you, harass you, making since it's the age of like social media, multiple Facebooks constantly sending you messages. You don't know who they are with threats and coercive messages.
Yeah. We talked with using intimidation is like looks, action, gestures. We talked about breaking and smashing things, destroying property. What we didn't hit on was abusing pets, but also that's definitely part of it. Threatening to abuse the children and displaying weapons. Emotional abuse is also on here. I feel like this one makes sense to most people, but we're still going to run through it. Putting you down, making you feel bad about yourself, name calling, you're a whore, you're a slut, you're crazy,
You're acting like a child.
you're acting like your mother, you're acting like your father, playing mind games, humiliating you, making you feel guilty. Those are all emotional abuse.
Mhm. Yes.
You're acting crazy right now.
You need to
Like
just,
things like that. You just need to calm down. That's emotional abuse,
yeah.
right? Um, so know that. Most people know this one just when we talk about domestic violence because it's using isolation. Most people know this one. But it doesn't mean just separating and like cutting someone off from people. It's also controlling what they do, who they see, who they talk to, when they do it.
Following you on Find My iPhone or Life 360.
Controlling what you read,
Mhm.
limiting your outside involvement to what you do and where you go, and using I'm just jealous. I just love you so much.
Asking you to send pictures of where you're at to make sure you're safe,
Yes. Oh, my favorite.
right?
I just need to know you're safe. Can you just send me a picture of your location?
Such a good one.
Can you text me when you get there?
Mhm.
Text me when you're leaving. I just want to make sure you're safe.
And to be fair, these are like, again, these are coming with an air of you just know it's not because the person wants to know you're safe.
Also, you probably also have like 360.
Yes.
They also have these. So it's a redundant thing.
Yeah, it's a
It
very
is
hyper,
right. It is about you submitting to the control,
exactly.
right? So it's like Life 360, like, bro, you know where I'm at,
Mhm.
versus like, no, 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 you're gonna report. It's the control thing.
I don't believe you are where you say you are, even though I've watched you travel the entire time.
Ex- Right. Well, you could have turned off the location on your phone.
Hmm.
The next one is minimizing, denying, and blaming. That didn't, I didn't really hit you that hard. That didn't really happen like that. I would only do that because I love you so much.
You're making a big deal out of this for no reason. Why do you always overreact about things?
Do we have to do this again? I
Uh,
mean, I was just really concerned about where you were. That never happened.
oh, that's one of my favorites. I didn't say that.
I
You're making
didn't.
that up. You're confused. I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Again, it's like shifting the bit. Like if I didn't love you so much, if you hadn't pissed me off,
Mm.
if you hadn't poked at me, you wouldn't have, right?
You could only just accept responsibility for your behaviors.
You know, if you would have just listened.
Yep.
Next one is obviously using children, and we'll also put pets in this one as well. Feeling guilty about the kids. Oh, you're not even a good parent. You don't even take care of them. Using the kids to relay messages. Go tell your mother. Go tell your father. Right. If the parents are split, using visitation to harass, it's a reason to stalk.
Yes, it is. Even if you're, and to build off of this, is bonus parents, they will be used, the children will be used against them too.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Yeah. Oh, you're not even a fit parent. I'm just gonna take them away.
Hmm. Nobody will believe you, though.
Oh,
I,
don't you know who I am in the community? You don't even go have a job.
she doesn't
Who's
even,
gonna believe you?
she
Who's
doesn't
even you don't even go here.
exactly the Regina Georges. And I mean this is where they crisscross so much.
Yeah.
They really do.
And then last one, obviously this is for this one heavily lies on when a man is the perpetrator, but it's usually male privilege. So treating like a servant, all the big decisions, the master of the castle, and defining men's and women roles.
Yeah.
Um, and really those are the things that make up like the power and control dynamic. And again, you don't have to have all of them for it to be that, though you will find generally you have almost all of them. You might not have kids, so you might have that. If you are in a same sex relationship, you might not have using male privilege, right? So there might be different pieces that are absent because of the dynamic, but there's consistency in a lot of the other things.
Mhm.
A friend of mine is currently divorcing her wife, and her wife called her mother, my friend's mother, to tell her that she had relapsed. My friend had relapsed. She was using drugs. She was not okay. She was unsafe. And her mom needed to check on her because she was not doing well because she left her. Because my friend left her wife. Well, she was in an abusive relationship. So that's one way. That's another example.
Yeah.
Right? Now, her mom knew better, but it's using someone's weakness against them, right? Oh, she relapsed. She's not okay. Oh, why else would she leave me? She needs help. Trying to turn her loved ones against her.
That is so, and it goes back to the isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're isolated, you're easier to control.
Yeah. She also told her mother that my husband and I are horrible influences.
Of course you are,
We are
because,
bad people
well,
because we helped her move out. I mean, we are bad people, just so you know, we're the worst influences.
yeah, exactly. How dare you want her to be safe and
Oh
happy?
my God, worst people ever.
Shame on you.
I did. I was like, oh my God, we're so bad influences. But I also think like that's the part of it is you're right, back to isolating. These friends are bad.
Hmm.
Right. So like there are different aspects of this. And I really think that that's an important piece to know. That the stalking started after that.
Stalking. That is my main focus, my biggest area. I was stalked relentlessly for 4 years, more so when I was in my marriage, but relentlessly for 4 years after I fled. And I'm lucky for one thing. I ended up diagnosed with PTSD as a result of, the abuse and being raped by him and the stalking specifically. I didn't know every time I would leave if I was going to be alive. But the power and control wheel was still in play during all of that, even though I was gone. He tried to kill my pit bull, well, my Staffordshire, to be more precise, just because, OCD, whatever. But I have to joke about it because it really that traumedy. But he tried to kill my dog. Um he tried to kill me. He left dead animals on my doorstep and in my yard. That is so much. And that he did. And now he's in prison. And we're not sad about that. But
Hang on. I think it's important for anybody who's still listening to know that he's in prison for what he did to you
yes, yes,
and
he
not
is.
in prison for some other random nonsense.
That is a good point. He is in prison for what he did to me. And moreover, um, it it is an actual published brief that can help other people in my situation. That was rather unusual in so much as I was living in Southwest Virginia at the time, married. It was consensual until it wasn't. Um, my trauma's kicking in. Sorry, give me 1 second. It was consensual until it wasn't. I was married. And one of the things in Virginia is you have to prove that you were held down by threat, violence, or intimidation. And no one in that state that I am aware of had ever been able to prove such psychological intimidation until my case. And the state of Virginia defines psychological intimidation in so much as someone being so psychologically overpowered by the threat of their own life that they basically have no willpower.
I can see how that people would have a hard time proving.
Mhm. Absolutely. And Virginia is really behind in that. But I will give shout out to Southwest Virginia, Abingdon, props because of the entire state of Virginia, they are the ones with the highest rape convictions
Awesome. Good for them.
team. Um, but that my case, there was a fourth component, but no, my brain is blocking it out right now. But my case is now able to help other people, and that is what is truly deeply most important to me, is because there are a lot of people, and I believe, across the world, but especially, across the United States too, who are in these same situations. And so we pivot back, kind of coming full circle, where Arlene was talking about, you can be raped by your partner, your boyfriend, your fiance, your spouse. Consent can be revoked, you know. Um, saying no is enough. Sexual abuse, rape is a form of domestic violence, and it happens on the regular. And it doesn't have to be physically, like with a gun, I'm going to kill you, violent. In fact, I would be willing to say that a lot of sexual assaults that happen do not happen like that. And most people who are sexually assaulted probably just freeze.
I would say I would agree. And I would say probably even more so in the intimate partner violence circumstance because they've been conditioned.
Yes.
So, first of all, I appreciate you sharing with me and the audience because I know those stories and circumstances, and I mean that's your life, so I know that's not always easy. So I appreciate that. I also know it's not easy to report, and so I think that
Mhm.
is amazing that you did. So I think that's awesome. It's
Well,
hard to do those things.
absolutely. And I 100% understand so much why people don't, because the system is re-traumatizing. It
Mhm.
is not easy to go through that system. And one of the things that is dear to my heart is starting a nonprofit that helps train law enforcement of any type, first responders and, judicial on stalking, but also in helping people prepare to testify in court. Because when you are the one that reports it, the DA cannot help you prepare. They can't do anything other than basically tell you, say yes, no, I don't know, and tell the truth. While the defense gets all the preparation in the world.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's very fair.
No, I think that's a lot because it's a lot for people to come forward with this to begin with. And
Mhm.
now I have to get up and testify
Mhm.
in court. Cool.
In front of people I don't know, and this person that is grilling me about this is trying as hard as they can to make me feel guilty for something that I didn't do, that I'm not guilty of.
Right. So I also feel like some kind of way about already. So cool. Thanks. Thanks,
Mhm.
guys.
Yeah, I know. Big ups to you.
Right. So like I get it. It's also, there's also just the fact that, how many times are women not believed? And even worse, how many times are men not believed?
Amen.
So
And, you know, every person choosing to report or not report is their own choice.
or
And there is no right or wrong choice,
no,
none whatsoever.
there's not. And
But
zero judgment over here.
preach 100%. But I will say this, and I have said this to every person, and I do a lot of work with DV and SA survivors. There is a right or wrong choice, and that choice is with the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Always 100.
So, interestingly enough, before we wrap this up, I'm working with a client that where this wheel applies to, except for, right? So the economic abuse, the coercion and threats, intimidation, the emotional abuse, isolation, minimizing, denying, blaming, even using children that weren't theirs and using male privilege. All of that works, except it was her parents.
Yep.
And we went through it. And the shocking part of it for her was recognizing that the children was her younger siblings.
Mm.
So, but going through it and recognizing that every piece of this fit, it was just her mom and her mother and father. And we would call that child abuse, not intimate partner violence or domestic violence. She's an adult now, but every piece of this fits. And so when we discuss it, also recognizing there's some uniqueness in where power and control dynamics also show up in different relationships.
No, that is an incredibly good point. Um, and I've been thinking about that in the back of my mind as we've been discussing this as well, because it isn't just in intimate partner relationships, it's in friendships, it's in, you know,
It's a
parent.
lot in employment, by
I
the
was
way.
about to say that, by the way.
That's a whole separate, we don't have time in this podcast to go down that rabbit fucking hole.
Preach, because
Um,
I was just
but
about.
it, but if we look at like one-on-one relationships, like your personal relationships, it happens in friendships. That shit happens,
It does.
right? Um, it could it could be your grandparent. It
Hmm.
could be an aunt and uncle, right? The relationship dynamic, like who they are. It's about the behavioral aspects. It's about the the steps that happen that go through it to be able to recognize that it is power and control at the center. A lot of times, mental health diagnosis get attached to this. In our first episode, we talked about narcissism and how they run similar, like real narcissism, not, social media narcissism. But and that is true. They play together well, but they're not always together. You can just be an asshole
Yeah.
and be and a shitty person and want to dominate other people and control them because that's just what you want to do. You don't have to be like anything mentally, like have a mental health diagnosis for that to be a thing. Please
Amen.
underthink. Not everything is pathologized.
Thank you.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
some things are, but not everything is pathologized. I promise. I promise somebody's just a dick.
Hmm.
Somebody's just a shit. And sometimes people are just fucking assholes and shitty people. And somewhere we need to just get back to that.
Yeah.
Um, but we also talked about like before the podcast of like severely like not medicated and treated borderline personality disorders. You can
Hmm.
also come around people with severe substance use disorders that engage in some of this. There are mental health diagnoses and conditions that play into this, not fucking always.
That is like preaching to the choir. Say it louder for the people in the book. But it's important for people to hear that too for their own healing because when you don't know where to go or you have nowhere else to go, you go to the internet right now and then you go down this rabbit hole of, all of these different things when the truth of the matter is the person that did this to you could just be a controlling dick.
Listen, this is what I always say to people when I'm working with them about this shit. Predators will find fucking prey.
That's what they do.
Can we just say predators find prey? Sometimes can we just call it that?
And it's nothing about us.
No,
Nothing.
no, it's about them. It is like being upset. I've used this analogy, is being upset with the gazelle for existing when the lion comes up to eat them.
Amen. That's a really good way of putting it.
Bro, the gazelle is living its life. It's doing its thing. It's not its fault the lion fucking decided to bust in and fucking eat it.
Nope. Just chilling.
Predators are predators. They will find prey.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's just what the fuck it is.
And it is their fault. And I really want this to be heard for anyone who is listening to this today who may be in a situation or may have come out of this and still be dealing with it. It is their fault, not yours.
I'm a double down. You will feel guilty. You will feel shame. You will sit here and say things like, I said it would never be me.
Yeah.
I looked down on people when they were in these situations, and somehow I found myself in this fucking spot. How the fuck did that happen? And
But
you will
another,
feel bad about that shit. And because you have been psychologically and emotionally and fucked, you will somehow think something is wrong with you. So I'm gonna remind you, gazelles just be gazelles.
Mhm. We just,
Sometimes you just be living your life, and some fuck came around and decided it was time to eat you.
Mhm.
That's not on you.
Yeah.
There is nothing for you to feel guilty about. You are trying to survive. So whatever the fuck you've done to survive, you've done to survive.
Yes.
Everything else comes out in the wash.
Mhm.
Because that's what services and therapy and all that other shit is for once you get onto the other side. And that is some shit I will stand fucking by.
Amen. Same here. And for those that never made it to the other side, wasn't their fault either.
Nope, not at all. So before we wrap up, and I thank everybody for hanging out, I will remind you of the Purina resource, Purple Leash Project. Okay. So understand that that is an option. If you have a pet, please know that you can contact them. You can also call the domestic violence hotline any point, 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233, otherwise known as SAFE. You can visit thehotline.org. If you are in immediate danger, you can always dial 911 and fucking order pizza. They'll show up.
Yes, they will. They absolutely will. And for anyone who has experienced or is experiencing any kind of sexual violence, RAINN, RAINN, is a fantastic resource for you.
There's always 988. Worst case scenario, there's always the emergency room.
Mhm.
I say worst case because that requires you to leave the house,
Yeah,
and that's not always feasible.
no.
Okay. Once again, I appreciate anybody who has stuck around. This has probably been one of our longest episodes. But I think a lot of the information is pertinent and valuable. So I will say what I usually say. Share this with a friend, with a family, with a nemesis. Uh, don't share this with someone in a current domestic violence situation, but share the resources. That is helpful. But honestly, if you're you're still hanging out. I appreciate you. Like us, follow us, subscribe. I think I said surprise one time, which is even funnier.
That is funny.
But anyways, leave us a comment. I'd like to know how things are going. If you hate us, if you like us, I don't know, let me know. But other than that, Kelly, I appreciate the conversation. I think this was really good. I really do appreciate you sharing again with me and the audience, and just being here for the conversation in general.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Always a joy.
Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to another episode of Unwinding with Support Group. Follow us on Substack. Give us a like, a follow. Give us a comment. Tell us what you hated, what you like, what you want us to talk about next. Let everybody know where they can find us too. But thanks for hanging out with us once again.